Hello. Well, it's early March, therefore still very wintry here in Newfoundland. So I continue to get my garden fix indoors as I can't get outdoors. And that's both with my seed starts, the few that I could. I don't do any seed starts in March at all, actually, but I had some early ones I had to do. So those are keeping me busy. And also my inside garden, vegetable garden that is growing. So, but today I wanted to talk about herbs because they're starting to show, the seeds are popping up and starting to show. And I just thought I'd go through what I'm looking at this year. I, probably like many people, have visions in my head always for years and years of this gorgeous, magical garden, you know, which includes a lot of herbs and the flowers and the smells and maybe a little bench out there. I don't know, from old books maybe, children fantasy books, I don't know. Always envisioned it. I think my sister and I were talking one day and we were saying like just fields of lavender we've just always wanted. But that's not going to happen anytime soon, many years away, but always have a goal. However, this year I want to up my herb game. So I have focused on my vegetables, which was just the most important, paramount. And now each year I just pick away at flowers and herbs. This year I'm going to add some more. So I actually was at our local hardware store with Bruce and walked by the seed trolley, you know, and said, "Oh, herbs! I don't even think I ordered any. I knew I wanted it, but put it off." Anyways, picked up a whole bunch of one brand, really, seeds. They're not very explanatory on what the varieties are at all, just generic names. So I may get some surprises, but it's okay. I'm just going to go a step further in adding to a garden. Haven't figured out quite where I want it, and that's partly because I'm too much in my own head of this vision of, oh, but I want it to be so pretty or whatnot. But as long as I start some, get it going. And of course, I use them heavily in my cooking, teas, and well, lavender, things like that have many other uses. But I love to fill my kitchen with the harvest of herbs. So that's what I want to talk about today. The ones that I bought, that I'm started from seed indoors, is Summer Savory. I'll go through each one. Parsley, the flat leaf Italian. Chives, sweet basil. I may have bought the wrong one there. Oregano, rosemary, and lavender. And then I've just got a couple others. So let's get started. Okay, first herb I'm going to talk about is Summer Savory. It's very important culinary use here, particularly in Newfoundland, I've noticed, very big in their stuffings. But Canada-wide, it's a poultry and stuffing. It's important for that. Other countries use it in very different ways in their cooking. But Canada, that's predominantly, I think, how it's used here. I do want to grow a lot. We also use a lot. And I want to hang it, you know. You want to catch your Summer Savory before the flowers bloom so that it gets a bit bitter. And you do not have to start these inside like I'm doing. I'm going to do both. I have 2 sets of seeds and I'm going to just scatter this. This is what everybody does here. My girlfriend, everybody here, they just throw it out into the dirt. The seeds are so tiny. They need sunlight and they'll catch. They are it's very easy herb to grow. Really easy. Mine popped up in, I've written some notes here, in about 10 days. Yeah, it germinated very quickly for me. And I got more than I really need, but some of them won't make it. And I do want a lot to cut and dry, and then the rest to fulfill my picture in my head of a pretty herb flower garden. I'll let them go to flower because they're loved by your bees and such. So you can see these Summer Savory, very tiny, popping up. These have already been pricked out and potted in here. I've put 2 in a pot. I figure I can break them apart later. I just had so many that came up. And well, there's 4 in these pots. So I have an awful lot. There's another one there. Oh, and another one there. Next, I've got the Italian flat leaf parsley. This one says Italian single hardy. Same thing, I guess. It's a little sketchy on their descriptions. I really only need 1 or 2 plants of this. It is a biennial. I had planted my indoor plant, which was already 2 years old, by the way, so it went on 3 years. But it was nearing its end inside, and I just stuck it outside in the soil in one of my beds to see how it did. Woohoo! It was beautiful and healthy, and that was in its 3rd year, which was really strange. However, it gave me more than enough parsley because we use it fresh. I freeze some, certainly to get me through the winter. But normally it's a herb that I keep inside also. And so if I do get 2 plants, maybe I'll put one outside and one inside. They're a little harder to germinate, I find. And I think it can take up to a month to germinate. Mine were a little slower, but they have shown, and I will give you a view of those. You can succession plant outside also, but I just don't need as much. And I don't eat the curly parsley, sorry. I just don't use it. So I only am sowing the Italian flat leaf. Parsley's taken its time, but there are 3 just showing now. Then I bought chives. I have a plant outside, actually outdoors, perennials that come back for me. I should rhyme those off. I've got chives, sage, thyme, and lavender. I just want more of some, and some the sage I have enough. Those plants only last about 3 years outside, but I still have a couple of years out of the ones I have there, and I'll replace them at time. I don't need them. However, chives, these popped up immediately. Oh, it was less than a week, so about 7 days to germinate. It says 7 to 14 on this, but they really pop up fast. And we all know chives, that mellow but fresh onion flavor that you can put in your scrambled eggs and garnish your salads. And it's just a lovely fresh pop of mild onion flavor. However, my favorite thing that I've come to, I just did it last year, and it's my new fave, I guess, is chive blossom vinegar. It's beautiful and really tasty and a strong, lovely oniony vinegary taste. So that's why I want those. Not to mention, I don't think there's a garden in my head, this vision, that doesn't have a bunch of these beautiful flowers. So I want as many as I can of those if I can find space. And here are my chives. And these are green onions, but the chives I've just multi-sown directly into these modules. Next is sweet basil. Now, normally I'm thinking sweet basil is the Genovese one. And I look at this picture only now. I didn't look at it in the store. And that's not. That's more the, is it Pistou variety, which has totally different culinary use actually, and it's often a garnish. But it's more for meats and root vegetables. So that's fine, but I still have to get my gorgeous, when you think of your, your tomato sauces and your pestos or whatnot. So I have to get more of that, of the sweet basil. But this is also a sweet basil. It's just that they didn't tell me which one, but that picture, well, we'll see what pops up. That can't be that gorgeous, big, bubbly stuff we have. And when that grows, I will definitely grow some of that inside and outside. I like, just for peace of mind and the pleasure of having, because once all my seedlings finally get outside and I start having space indoors again, I love being surrounded by herbs in my kitchen. It just makes me happy. Good germination on the sweet basil, which may or may not be the one I want, but I will still enjoy it nonetheless. So basil, an absolute must in the garden. Next one I've got is oregano, also an important culinary herb. It doesn't tell me which one this is, but it looks like the pretty typical. Well, they're all really good and very similar actually, so it doesn't matter what variety this is for me. I've never tried to grow it outside, so I've grown it indoors, and hopefully we'll still have an indoor plant, but I'm going to try to grow it outdoors because it's a perennial in warmer zones, but I think you can push it in a zone 5, which I am, 5B, and my lavender survived, so maybe this will too. So I want to get that outside if I can get enough seeds coming up. Now this is another longer one. The tiny seeds are so hard. 7 to 21 days. Mine just showed, when did mine come up? Actually, my oregano came up about a week and a half. That wasn't too bad. So, yeah, that didn't come up bad at all. All you do with these tiny little seeds is push them with your fingers into the soil and mist it. I sprayed all my herbs with mist, is how I watered all of them, because they're just tiny wee herbs. So that's oregano, another must-have for your culinary, and I will dry that also. The ever so tiny oregano. I have to go close to show you. Can you believe how tiny those are? Rosemary. Well, just for the smell alone, it's worth it in any garden. There's nothing nicer than rubbing your hands on rosemary when you walk by. This is a perennial, but not in my zone. So you can put them in pots and bring them in, but I don't like bringing pots in generally. I've broken that rule, but I don't like to do that generally. I have rosemary growing indoors at the moment, and that will continue and stay indoors, but I would like to get more for the sheer glory of having this aroma out there, and fresh harvesting. I really want a lot more, use it in cooking, and I dry that also, and then I grind it actually in my spice grinder. So very slow to start, I should add, sorry. That's about, it can take up to a month. Now mine have just germinated. I'll show you, and I think there's only one has popped up, so maybe lean on that. You know, sometimes you go and you read articles and it says you want to start gardening, start herbs indoors, or yeah, easy gardening, start with herbs. If I was to tell you easy gardening, I would start with peas or brassicas, because they show immediately, hardy as anything, and you don't have to fuss when at the seedling stage. A lot of herbs you do. Now there's some that just like the basil, and some are savory, you know, you don't have to fight with those, but they're finicky little things and finicky little seeds, and you have to pot them on. They're tiny little plants, and then the long-term ones you just think aren't coming at all. Well, just this morning, 2 more rosemary have shown, so that's great. Long-term, wait for those. Lavender. English lavender shows the picture. Let's hope it is, because that's the culinary one. I have 2 little plants outdoors that I started from seed also. This is a tricky one and a little bit of more investment in time. Mine have not shown yet. Planted at the same time. These were all planted February 20th. But once I seeded this in the soil in a little pan, I put the whole thing in my refrigerator for about a week, because they need to go through the cold blast for it to trick them. And even then, I'm still not confident that they're going to show for me that I did it cold enough. I've grown it from seed. You can do it. It's just that it's tricky, and sometimes you get impatient or you move on and think it's just not coming. But it can take a month for these to show, so patience is needed. Actually, this says up to 35 days. Long germination rate. So just keep them on your windowsill. Keep checking them. They should pop up for you. But I just don't think a garden can have too much lavender. So more is my agenda for that one. Now a couple of other herbs just to speak quickly of. Coriander, I just throw outside. I just throw it. Like, it grows no matter what. I mean, I don't have any problems. Some people start it indoors. I have no idea why. It grows so easy. Maybe it's just my climate. Dill is another one I generally throw outside. But this year I just wanted some earlier to see if that would help me attract the beneficial bugs. The little hoverflies is one of the ones that's particularly beneficial. So I'm going to start them earlier and also still throw outside. But I've just started some of those. They haven't shown, so I won't bother showing you a picture of those. And blue spice basil. This was new to me last year or the year before, maybe. And I found it is beautiful as a tea. Really, really nice. So just for that alone, it's good for cooking too, especially some of your stir fries or your po soups or things like that. It's lovely, but really, really beautiful in a tea. So I've just started that. And one last thing I wanted to mention, I bought Calamintha Marvelet Blue. It's a flower. I'm hoping to put it in more of the flower bed, mix it with herbs too. I haven't started these yet. I think it's too early, but I'll get on that soon. But the flowers and the leaves are supposed to be really, really nice in a tea. Like people who rave about this in a tea. So if you've had it, let me know in the comments. I've never had it, so I'm excited for that. Not to mention to have some pretty flowers mixed in with the herbs. Before I sign off, stick around to the end if you want to see a couple of fools tobogganing. But that's it for the herbs that I'm going to try this year in hopes of one step closer to that vision in my head of that charming, magical, slightly overgrown, mixed with flowers herb garden. And here is the blue spice, dried blue spice basil, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous tea. Take care. We'll talk soon.